You're listening to The Paul Higgins Show, where ambitious tech consultants come to unlock their potential. After 18 years as a global leader, I launched several businesses, culminating in a successful exit. I'm sharing what I learned, plus what's working now from mentoring tech consultants. You will hear leaders within our industry to help you build a business you love that allows you to do what you want. If you are looking for immediate cash flow wins to fuel your growth, go to our free ebook at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap. Imagine you're an SI, you are very excited because the client is about to sign the deal to implement some of the sales clouds and other clouds from the Salesforce ecosystem, and they ask you a simple question. Do you also do inventory? Hello, this is Paul Higgins, and welcome to episode 576, The Paul Higgins Show. And in this podcast, I'm going to talk to Wayne Macartney from Nao ERP, and it's spelled Nao ERP. And after listening to Wayne, you will get the right answer to that question because there is a solution for doing inventory with Salesforce. You're going to learn from Wayne how it will make your engagement with clients more sticky and increasing your revenue as a SI. The second is how the client, you, and Now can work together to make that happen. And the third thing is how Now is quite competitive against other ERP systems that need complicated integrations with Salesforce. So Wayne Macartney is the Managing Director, President of Nao ERP, a streamlined inventory management solution built on the Salesforce platform. Designed for small businesses and SMEs, they offer features such as inventory management, sales order management, purchase order management, goods receivable process, and average weighted cost calculation. And Now ERP is an initiative of Brickocular, I should say. So that's BRICOLEUR technologies, and they're a leading Salesforce implementation partner. So the great thing is that it's been built by an SI to solve problems for your clients as a SI, a Salesforce implementation partner. Go and see Wayne on YouTube. Check it out at Paul Higgins Mentoring YouTube channel. And now what I'll do is hand you over to Wayne from nowerp.com, and that's now-erp.com. Great to have you here, Wayne.
Great to be here. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. So look, I know we go back some time. You'd left the industry to start as a Salesforce partner, and today we're here to talk about your exciting new venture. I know you're still running as an SI, you're still a Salesforce partner, but you got a new adventure, which I think is going to fill a gap for many of you who are Salesforce partners watching today. But why don't we just kick off with who Now is best for? And, who's your ideal client, and also what problems you believe it solves.
Now ERP we're seeing it's working really, really well with small businesses and SMEs that have either a manufacturing to order, or they're distributing. So they might be ordering products in from overseas or elsewhere. It might be their products that they're manufacturing offshore, or they're acting as a wholesaler and a distributor. Typically, they're going to have a range of, say, direct sales. They might be doing a bit of B2C. They're going to be doing sales to small retailers, and then typically they'll have smaller chains and then maybe one or two larger distributors. Or so in food, it might be, okay, well, we've got news agents, and then we've got, mixing metaphors here, but we've got, we might be selling to news agents, and we might have a chain of news agents, and then we might have presence in, say, David Jones in some stores or something. And so you've got different levels. It's a typical use case for Salesforce where you're managing those relationships and you're managing the account engagement piece. And so then the question is, well, we've got order takers. How do we process orders? We might have e-commerce. We might have direct orders, phone, email, etc. We've got stock that we need to order in. We need to track inventory. We need to manage orders and as a process. And so, and as I said, there may be some manufacturing to order layered into that. So we might actually be building some of that for a solution for a client. And so it could be a range of capital equipment. It could be parts, accessories. Sales, because it's running within Salesforce, it plays nicely with, field service, for example. It plays nicely with maps. And so we've got an integration or a connector for field service, so that your core inventory and then your van inventory work together. You're doing sales, but you're also doing service work. And then you've got a seamless platform to support that kind of business model.
If we go back to maybe 3 years ago when you first saw this opportunity, were you saying what made you think I'm going to be crazy enough to go and develop my own?
It Well, it's a good question, and it's actually in my DNA. It's kind of part of my previous history, commercializing software. So the setting up as an SI partner with Salesforce was a little bit of a career change for me. And you get advice when you start off as a new partner. Oh, you've got to find a niche. You've got to niche down. You're going to have an app. You need an app. And we started off very, very broad as an SI partner. And because I've got a track record of commercializing software, I kind of just said, look, I'm going to look around. We'll work with clients. When I find that thing, then we'll look at it. And so, for instance, we've got a Xero integration that we use with our clients. Do I want to turn that into an app? Not really. It needed, from previous experience, it needed to be something that worked well, was directed towards our constituency, and that it wasn't too complicated and too expensive. But I wanted to find something that also had legs that would scale. You can have the world's best software, but if you're selling that into a very small market, then once you've sold to that market, there's really nowhere to go. We would be having Sales Cloud conversations with potential clients, and the conversation would be going swimmingly. We're in the conversation, the account exec from Salesforce in the conversation, the potential clients all excited about, the wonderful new world they'll be in when they adopt Salesforce. And then 3/4 of the way through the conversation, they'd say, well, oh, and of course, Salesforce does inventory, doesn't it? You go, no, it doesn't.
Not at the moment.
And then you're having a conversation around integrating with ERPs or other ERPs. So typically then you've got Sales Cloud for your BDMs. You've got your ERPs. You'd love to be able to push orders from Salesforce into your ERP. You'd love for your ERP data to be flowing back into Salesforce so the reps can see that purchase history and when they're working with clients. It's surprisingly difficult to do with the current options in terms of integration. And it was actually an account exec that we were working with closely at the time that said, what if you could do inventory in Salesforce? And that's where the conversation happened. And so I went, yeah, that's a really good question. When I started talking to clients, then you kind of start to tune in to every conversation that might be an opportunity where there's an inventory component, getting a feel for what people were looking to solve for, what their business models were. And so we started to put together a set of features initially that would support that, with a view to turning it into, initially it was an inventory system, but by the time we finished, we worked out we had a fully fledged ERP. Some people might have heard of Clipper Inventory, which was our kind of project code name. It turned out that there were some issues using that name, so we rebranded to Nao, and we haven't looked back actually. So it turned out, it was a good call. There is absolutely a need for that, to be able to use Salesforce as a genuine platform. That's how we viewed it when we built Nao. So it's not sort of external to Salesforce. You install it, it's a managed package. It runs within Salesforce, so you don't have any of those integration issues. And obviously you can leverage the full Salesforce feature set that plays nicely with, as I said, maps, with Tableau, with reporting, with field service, with Experience Cloud. And what we're finding with the sales is it is taking the conversation from, you might have 3 BDMs, you plonk a Sales Cloud down and they're off and running, to a whole of business conversation. So you suddenly have order takers, logistics, accounts, a whole lot of people that wouldn't previously have necessarily engaged with Salesforce now being part of the solution. So it's adding amazing value to organizations to be able to do all that and not have the usual disconnects of having your CRM separate from your ERP.
And did it surprise you when you realized that there was no solution? Was that surprising when you came into the ecosystem, or that was just well known?
There are some niche alternatives. I would have probably been more concerned if there was zero competition. There are some apps on the App Exchange. I think our approach, though, is not, it's not, oh, we'll just install a widget because we need to fill an inventory box. We know already we've had direct competes against MYOB Advanced, against SAP Business One, against Microsoft Dynamics, against NetSuite.
Yes.
against Sin7, against Aeroflow. You could chuck Xero in the mix, I guess. And so what we've experienced is the sales presentation is about, here's a fully fledged ERP that runs on the Salesforce platform, not necessarily, oh, we're getting Salesforce and we need to find a tack on to do the inventory piece, because obviously inventory is non-trivial. Banner sales, and that positioning is resonating. It's resonating with the account execs from Salesforce that we work with. It's resonating with partners that we talk to, and it's definitely resonating with clients. And I think if you are stacking up against MYB Advanced, say, and SAP or something, then the positioning needs to be equivalent.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, that SMB mid-market, I think, that's why your positioning is smart there. As far as what's the incumbent solution at the moment? So for the client, you've gone and obviously used it within your own client base. What are they currently using?
There are great ERPs out there. Well, there are ERPs that work. Some of them, for example, we have one client. We said, look, you're using a brand name ERP. What's not doing it for you? Why are you looking to move? And they said, well, we can't add any custom fields. We can't even relabel fields. So if we want to put our data in the ERP, we've got to pretend that field there means something else. Kind of squint at it and go, yeah, really, it means this instead of what it says on the label. Yes. And they couldn't customize reports, and they'd talked to the ERP support with little joy. And so I spent 15 minutes showing them how easy it is to add fields themselves on Salesforce and rolled a pipeline report, and they were emotionally vested from there. It was like, so how do we do this? We find so there's that. There's clients that are coming off legacy ERPs. There's a lot of ERPs that are end of life or should be, they're still on-prem. Some of them are still, kind of DOS based or something. There's a point where you get further and further behind from your upgrades and paying this licensing, and the things that's holding you back. You can't integrate your e-commerce. We've got clients that go, I've got all these e-commerce leads flooding in and sales flooding in from WooCommerce or Shopify or Store Connect, and not Store Connect, because Store Connect is fully integrated, but Shopify or WooCommerce, I can't integrate my ERP. I've got emails coming in and I'm keying every online order back into the system, right? And there's nothing I can do without at all, or without a major technology engineering exercise. So, and then we've got other clients and some of them are big enough that they should know better, but are still running on spreadsheets.
Yes.
I've got a spreadsheet with my inventory, and again, I'm keying things from a sales spreadsheet to an inventory spreadsheet to a dispatch shipping spreadsheet. I can't keep track of where my orders are, in terms of I've got these orders coming in and I've got these sales that I need to get out. They're leveling up then and solving a lot of problems. And what we're seeing too is it's a compelling conversation for clients that they can rationalize the tech stack. When you're a small business, you do tend to have something here that does this and something here that does that. You get to a point, you go, no, this is just starting to break. We need to rationalize this. And you can't plug them all together in a meaningful way. You can probably do some of it, but not all of it. The number of moving parts that are involved operationally for a client significantly reduced because, again, they're pulling everything into one platform.
Yeah, great. And, let's go back to the example you said. So, you showed them the reporting. They said, this is fantastic. Where do I sign? From signing to when it was fully operational, how long did that take?
Yeah, that was a short one. That was about a month. They wanted to be cut across for the end of financial year. We did a NetSuite migration in a month, which is insane. Not for the faint-hearted, and I would not recommend it. But again, the client had compelling reasons that they needed to be off NetSuite and into something else within a time frame. And it's the difference between, I think, the migration aspect, the change management aspect is the thing to focus on, because you're not just, here's some sales data in a spreadsheet, let's set up Sales Cloud and off you go. There you go. You can do that. It's a bigger project, which means from an SI perspective, it's what we're finding. So obviously it's a juicier project, if I could use that phrase, but it's also a deeper engagement out the other side. So we're finding that the clients we're engaging with is now ERP. We have a deeper ongoing relationship with them than, again, just sticking a Sales Cloud in and off you go. the two things we'd probably suggest, as much as possible, spend the time up front in workshops and get the client to write down their requirements. People used to be quite good at that, but it seems to not be something that happens as much. The more that gets written down, it allows the client to clarify their thought processes, their expectations for themselves, and it should bring out the details of their operations, because it is an end-to-end process that you're implementing for them. Don't rush the UAT would be the other thing. And that's always a tricky one, because sometimes you can show people things and they look at it and they go, and then they go live and then they go, what was that thing you showed us?
Yes.
It happens. So allowing enough time for the client to get their head around what's been delivered, feel they're comfortable using it. It just makes the journey out the other side of go live less of a scrabble. And the ones that you do really quickly, you tend to be picking up the pieces out the other side, which not ideal. It's not best practice.
How are you building that knowledge base so that people can be more we're all using some form of AI at the moment to help us be better humans. How are you doing that from a knowledge base point of view for now?
Well, it's a good question, because the software component itself is not particularly complex. It's the thought process of, okay, I have this business model, I have this operation. How would I go about getting value from the system? And that just comes with experience as the SI partner. And what we're finding, this is very new for a lot of partners. It's very new for a lot of account executives. We're a couple of years out ahead. So we've got that IP already in terms of being able to sit down with a client and understand their business model. We've got some staff on board that have had, stellar careers in this space and are contributing again to the success of the customer, but also the success of the software that what we've built we haven't gone away as an IT company and said, hey, we're going to build a bigger mousetrap.
Yes.
The feature set is very much being dictated or determined by client requirements. And, we're quite good at that. So we have a roadmap of things we know we're going to do. And we have clients that will have put their hand up to pilot certain features. We're always interested to say, well, if a quick client asks a question and says, oh, could it do that? You say, that's really interesting. Could you tell me more about that? Could you tell me why that's important?
Yes.
And, you might not build it immediately, and you might hear it from 2 or 3 people and kind of triangulate on, all right, broadly, this is what we need to solve for. And then it becomes, a new feature that gets rolled out.
Yeah. And look, I think there's nothing better than that firsthand experience. I think, that's the difference between some app developers that I talk to that have got an app on the App Exchange, but they've never actually done the work themselves, and it's not their fault. That's just the background they've had. I think for you starting as an SI, and then, you really got 3 key stakeholders, right? You got the SI, you got yourself, and you got the client, and you've lived 2 of those. And in a way, in your past, I suppose you lived the third, right? So you've got that 3 perspectives to put it together. And I think that's really important. I think that's the difference to success versus some of the other apps that I've seen. And it's a classic. I won't say too much, but I know one of my clients works in the TPM space, trade promotion management. And, Salesforce acquired a product, they've brought it to market, and it's just not where it should be. And that's often because it's sort of just been an add-on. It hasn't been built from the ground up like you have with Now. So I think that's a really important distinction. And just tell us a little bit more about how you see the relationship working between those 3, the client, yourself, and the SI.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I might just add, Paul, before we move on to that question, go on site is my recommendation as an SI.
Yes.
Go on site as part of it's different from, I think there are other Salesforce implementations where it's less relevant to actually fully understand the physical reality of the clients, particularly say in a service-based model, you can go to their office and it looks like an office.
Yes.
But when you're talking about, distribution of goods, receivables, things going out, going and walking through their environment and meeting the team and sitting down with each team, and this is kind of old school stuff, right? But it still works. Gives you a much clearer picture of the operating environment you're deploying the software into. And again, around go live, do it on site. And we've learned this. Go down, when the client's going live, walk around, being able to look over someone's shoulder and say, yeah, see that button there, click that there.
Yes.
Just keeps the level of anxiety around the newness of it all down and allows you to jump in and triage things as they come up. you're talking to the management, you're talking to the team leaders, you're talking to the staff if you need to. And again, in terms of success factors, I think we've learned that that's a good one.
Yeah, and just quick on my background, I used to work for Coca-Cola, which was, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world. And, whenever we used to do acquisitions, the first place we would start is on the floor of the factory to get that understanding. And, a SaaS, the Coke company sort of implemented it. And yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think therefore, you've got to, like you said, often it works when you're in geographic areas where there's high manufacturing industries as well, whether it's, that sort of that northeast of the US, wherever you are. Because I know Wayne and I are both Aussies, but we, both run global businesses. So, this is a global solution. And I think, that in person can't be ignored. So I suppose the question around how that's one element of how they work together. But yeah, talk us about your business model and how you're seeing this roll out with other SIs.
For the volume of work we have coming in now already, so we have clients, we have live installations, we have a steady stream of new builds. We will soon max out our capacity to meet the demand that's coming through.
Yes.
So we know we need a partner network to be able to do that. Your client, you understand it, you're local, and make all that work. We also are talking with various partners where we've got a bit of a presentation we do to talk them through these kind of questions. They'll go, oh, okay, there's that one, there's that one, there's that one. Their installed client base, they will know that there are people looking for a solution that they haven't been able to solve for. So it's not too hard to find. So it's the partner adding value to a client, saying, look, I've got a solution, we can now solve for this. And also new clients. We have good brand recognition inside the divisions of Salesforce that we work with currently. The AEs and the SEs, when they hear ERP or inventory now, they'll go, let's go talk to Nao. I've got someone you need to meet. And they'll bring the client along, and potentially the partner along too, if there's an incumbent partner. And so, yeah, it's that kind of thought bubble of saying, yes, we can solve for this. Yes, there's a solution. Let's go talk to these people.
Yeah. And I like the fact that, like you said, it's the chance to go into a new area, which is additional revenue for you as an SI, but also the longevity and also the stickiness as well. I think, there's sort of the three key points that resonated and why I wanted to get Wayne on. And, how much training's involved, Wayne, on learning now for an SI or an SI team?
We do some training. It's new for us, and the partner model is new for us. Yep. We see initially we would be working reasonably directly with the SI partner and the client for that partner's first few implementations. It's not hard to, as I said, it's not hard to install, it's not hard to set up. It's the operational considerations and thinking about the configuration so that it obviously drives the business model of the client. Where there's some technical complexity around, so maybe some new features, we would probably be reasonably directly involved in the implementation alongside the partner. For a more straightforward install, we anticipate we would be part of the project as an advisory capacity. So we're in the room, we're having the conversations, we're walking with the client and the SI from workshops and need through to solution to guide the client and the partner as to the best approach to take. I would see as a partner matured in their sort of experience in implementing Now as a solution for an ERP, that involvement would drop away after 2 or 3. It's just that, and it's interesting working with the account execs because Salesforce at the level we work to hasn't been able to position an ERP solution previously. The AEs sort of have a gap in their talk track around ERP. Yes. And so we drive a lot of those conversations with the client. We view, if it's a Now deal, then we view it that we're probably the lead in terms of processing and closing the opportunity, and that's working well too. The other thing it's probably worth being aware of is some of these conversations are slow burns. We've got clients that are considering it for 18 months, 12 months, 3 months. They'll look now, they'll go talk to MYOB, they'll go talk to Microsoft Dynamics, they'll come back, but it's not, here's some pricing that's valid for this month only. If you close now, you'll get a discount, because the clients are resistant to that. They say, look, this is non-trivial. We're making a decision about the ERP platform we're going to use for the foreseeable future. As you said, it's a stickier conversation, Paul. We're not going to be rushed in that, in that decision. And that's where, again, account execs are not incentivized to think like that.
Yes.
The team leaders are pressuring them to close deals. We have the patience. And again, as an SI partner, an SI partner has the patience to say, we're here for the ongoing engagement and to be persistent with it. And they do close. They just take longer to close.
And do you also come up against renewals of other ERP licenses where, that might be locked in for 12 months and, that comes into the equation for when they are even able to change?
Yeah, and it means, and that's why sometimes they can be a bit rushed, but it means you're probably going to be having a conversation. We've got clients we're talking to now that they know their ERP renewal is March next year, say.
Yes.
So they're starting to think about it now, do the planning, make a decision, have a managed deployment, and then switch off their existing ERP. So the timing of rollovers, is very much part of it.
And as far as the licensing costs, how does the licensing cost compare to other ERPs?
We think we're competitive. It depends on the ERP you're comparing with. And obviously you've got the Salesforce licensing involved, but it's a per user per month licensing model. But it's not every Salesforce user needs a Nao ERP user. There's some tiers of licensing. So you've got your core processing staff that are doing the heavy lifting in that part of the system. You've got some light licenses for people that might be keying in orders, but not doing much else. And then if you're just a sales rep and you need to see inventory levels or where people's orders are up to, then there's no licensing consideration around that.
Yeah, great. And just a reminder, we're talking to Wayne Macartney from Nao ERP, and it's nao-erp.com. So, and Wayne and I were talking off air that it's actually to do with Portuguese word around transfer of goods back in the day, and that's where you got the name of it. But it's NAO, not NOW as it's pronounced. So, and this is episode 576. So what we're going to do now is just take a short break, thank our sponsors, and then we're going to come back with a rapid fire. Running a tech consulting business can feel like a solo journey, but what if you didn't have to navigate it alone? Introducing the Tech Collective, your go-to resource for tackling those burning questions and unlocking your potential. Join a dynamic collective of experienced tech consultants ready to share insights, strategies, and support to help you today. Grappling with sales, clients, team challenges, our Tech Collective has your back. Join us today at paulhigginsmentoring.com/TC. There's a link in the show notes. There's a small application, and as a thank you for being a listener, enter the coupon code TC, capital TC25 at checkout. That's TC25 to get 25% off. Visit paulhigginsmentoring.com/TC today. So Wayne, you ready for the rapid fire?
Let's go. Let's see how I do. We're here.
So the first one is, what are some of the daily habits you do? Because ultimately you're running two businesses at the moment. So what are some of the daily habits that help you do that?
I can't. Scrabble is the word that pops into my head. I'm not sure about daily habits. We've color coded our calendars and we've streamlined and we delegate a lot of our bookings. So we have, part of our team is just coordinating with account execs and AEs and clients and where am I supposed to be at any given time. And so I can look at my calendar. We've got probably 3 or 4 colors that we use. I can look at a glance and say, what's my week looking like? Is it unbalanced? Am I paying too much attention to sales rather than talking to clients, or is it going the other way? I've made sure I've got headspace for internal work, operational stuff that we do with the team. I also, there's particular days, for some reason, if you're going to sales meetings on a Friday, they typically evaporate. Do not know why. And so there were times where I would sit there and, across a whole Friday, meeting after meeting would just dissolve from my calendar. But you're always mentally going, I've got 30 minutes to the next one, so I won't tackle anything. And I've got 20. So I actually, and I know there's some other people I talk to, I have my Fridays try to make them strategy days.
Yes.
So I'll have it totally blocked, no meetings. And it means I can either be catching up on things or doing, we're playing with Agent Force at the moment. looking at document recognition so that when a sales order comes in, it's automatically in the system. So I might be playing with technology, or I might be doing marketing, or I might be, having strategic conversations.
Yeah.
So I think blocking out time to do deep work is important.
The good news for you and I is that because a lot of our customers on US time, that our Saturday's their Friday, so that does help a little. But the next question is around where do you go to learn more, and that's, I suppose, from running your business perspective, where do you go to learn more?
I think talking to sometimes other partners, talking to customers, just talking to people at about the same place in the life cycle of the company or further ahead. And I'm a big fan, when I do have time, of reading business books. One of my hobbies is working out what I'm going to read on a long haul flight. So,
Yes.
and again, it's a time when you're disconnected and you can just read. Sometimes I'll read things that are a bit left field or just thought provoking, or,
Yes.
something, it might be science based, or it might be, and so it just makes the brain start working in a different way. And I think when you're sitting on a plane and you do have 8 hours or something to contemplate, you can step back. It's the old, am I working on the business or in the business? But,
Yes.
a little bit of distance allows you to look at things from a different perspective, and, you can have some really interesting insights. And talking to clients with totally different business models,
Yes.
you can apply what might work in one industry, and you think about it and you might say, actually, that would be really useful if I adopted it for my industry.
Yes. And the next one is what's one wish we could grant now?
I don't have an answer for that. More time. We are, as I said, we're now running 2 successful businesses rather than one. So,
Yes.
I feel like I've got a leg on one log and a leg on another log, and it's doing that. And that's just part of scaling. I don't know. I wouldn't mind a crystal ball, but everything we've set out to do, we've more than achieved, and it's being, now is being well received by clients and account execs and partners. Everyone's very excited, and so, this is the beginning, and we're really looking forward to the next couple of years.
Right. And the last question is, you're effectively 3 to 4 years into this journey of building your own product. What do you wish you had have known earlier?
I was an employee for most of my career, and I started Bricoleur as an SI partner 5-6 years ago now.
Yes.
And a lot of what I'd done previously, nothing's ever lost. So I had life experience. I had experience. I would say do it sooner, right? If I could do it again, I would just have made the transition. And you're probably something similar, Paul. By the time you could have gone through the learning curve as an entrepreneur just as easily as an employee. And then when you do become an entrepreneur or a business owner, you make a whole bunch of new mistakes.
Yes.
It's a question of how quickly you can get through the learning curve. And I would say do it, if you know, and it's something that you want to look at, then do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. And to me, there's sort of a scale of, politics on one side and learnings on the other. So, when learnings were far greater than the politics, I was fine. But once the politics got greater than the learning, it was time to leave. And I was like with the Coca-Cola company, that we dealt with businesses at all different sizes. So it was like I was doing an MBA in business the whole time. So therefore it took longer for me to leave. But no, I think it's right. And also I think once you do make the move, you make it work. And, very few people go back. So great advice. But just a reminder, again, we've been talking to Wayne Macartney, episode 576, and you can go to Nao, which is NAO-ERP.com, and book a demo call there, or reach out to Wayne and I'll tell you more about in the outro. So Wayne, thanks a lot for coming on, and well done for what you've built, which is an obvious gap in the Salesforce ecosystem.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us, Paul.
Great interview with Wayne, and I think this is a solution that I know other SIs have spoken about in the past. It's great. The app will be coming out on the App Exchange. This is coming out in the middle of November 2024, and it won't be much longer than that. It's just up to, obviously, Salesforce internally to do it. It shouldn't be a complicated app to approve from there, but it's just the overall capacity that they've got. I've reached out to Wayne on LinkedIn and asked him questions, and also go on to the website, which the link to both the LinkedIn profile and the website are in the show notes. If others could benefit from this, in particular, other Salesforce implementation partners, please share it with them. And also go and check out Wayne and I on YouTube. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel to get more in the future. I'll see you next time on the Paul Higgins Show. Time for action. Let me know what you implemented from the show. I promise to respond. Plus, get the Tech Consultants Roadmap at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap.